I am ready to go learn about history. So I'm just preparing with my history shoes to learn about the past. There's no place like the past. There's no place like the past. There's no place like the past.
Hi, we're back today to talk about the Middle Ages that started when Rome fell, 476, in Western Europe, and continues until the Renaissance, which started in the 1300s in Italy. It's also called the medieval period. It's in the middle between ancient times and the modern world. And we talked as well about Charlemagne, who started feudalism, and about William the Conqueror, who changed his life for the people in England. So with feudalism, we have a system of protection in place, so life gets a little bit easier for people. Even once Charlemagne dies and we have invaders again, the Magyars from the east, the Vikings from the north, that idea of feudalism doesn't entirely go away. So we have people able to farm a little bit better, able to protect each other, and things are getting a little bit better in the Middle Ages for a lot of the people. One thing that's happening in the Byzantine Empire, you'll remember that that's sort of like Rome Part 2, and the Great Schism had taken place, and they were practicing the Orthodox Church, but they're still Christian. And so the Crusades are holy wars that are fought that unite people of Western Europe to the people of the Byzantine Empire to go to the city of Jerusalem and fight against Muslims, predominantly over control of that city. So the Crusades were holy wars, and they take place starting 1096-ish, and there's several crusades that are fought for a while. And these crusaders, these people traveling from Western Europe, are leaving their hometowns for the first time. Maybe they'd never been more than a mile from where they were born. But with the Crusades, they travel across a continent and go to the Middle East. On the way, they get to taste new foods. I like that. And they get to feel new fabrics that they want to have more access to after the Crusades. So when the Crusades finish and these crusaders go back home to Western Europe, there's an increase in trade that starts between different parts of the world at that time that were in touch with each other. Now remember, feudalism's allowing for more growth on their farms. These Western Europeans have items to trade. They're trading with people of other parts of the world. So as we have trading start, we have towns form. We have roads start to be used again as people are going to towns, going to fairs. Here's our fair. Maybe you can think of a farmer's market. So you're living not in the castle, but on the land of your landlord, of your king, and you're farming. And then maybe you go in the summer months to this fair. And we end up having a shift from feudalism, from life in the castles, or not in the castles, again, you're working on the land around the castles, but we have a shift from feudalism to people moving to towns because these trade cities, these farmers markets that are around start to become year-round, start to be permanent. We start to have towns form in the later Middle Ages. We start to have different tools like windmills and different types of animals being used on the farm so that people have better crops, have a better output, and can bring more to trade. So we have a growth of towns, we have feudalism sort of declining, and then we have these ships coming from other parts of the world bringing goods back and forth. They're bringing goods, they're bringing ideas, they're bringing people back and forth. They were also bringing the plague back and forth. So we have the plague, also known as the Black Death, the bubonic plague, coming into Western Europe from Asia on these ships. Now it's coming to the Italian peninsula pretty hard first because a lot of trade is going through the Italian peninsula, and then it's spreading to other trade cities throughout Western Europe and other parts of Europe as well. So we have 1 out of 3 people dying of the plague at that time. And the plague came into Europe and really caused a lot of trouble for people in Europe. And it doesn't go away entirely. We have different times through history where it revisited, but it was a big impact on people's lives for a while, especially if you lived in a trade town or a city where you were exposed to it more. So it comes from Asia, and people didn't know how it was transmitted, but we know today that it's transmitted by fleas who were traveling on rats. I'm not sure if that's the flea or the rat, but fleas would actually live on these rats. Rats would get off the ship at the ports. The fleas would get off the rats, get in the piles of clothing or other things, and it spread throughout those cities. So when you hear of the plague or the Black Death, this is the time period when it really has its first big impact in Western Europe. So I'm going to stop for today. Bye.